Beyond tourism, reconnecting the African diaspora. Welcome to the Pink Parachute Diaries, where we amplify the voices of Black women making waves in their fields. Today, I'm thrilled to share insights from my recent interview with AyeSha Brock, a visionary leader whose life's work has transformed how we understand the relationship between Africa and its global diaspora. AyeSha isn't just a thought leader, she's a bridge builder who has dedicated decades to creating pathways of reconnection that transcend borders, generations, and the limitations of traditional tourism. Her groundbreaking initiatives have helped thousands reconnect with their ancestral heritage in ways that are sustainable, meaningful, and economically empowering. Have you ever felt like a puzzle piece searching for its place? That sense of belonging somewhere, yet not quite fitting in anywhere. For millions across the African diaspora, this feeling isn't just occasional, it's a constant companion, a whisper that follows them through boardrooms in New York, classrooms in London, and family gatherings in Toronto. It's that quiet question that emerges in moments of both triumph and challenge. Where do I truly belong? When I spoke with AyeSha, she painted a powerful picture of what's happening across the diaspora today. Reconnection, she told me, isn't just about visiting monuments or taking photos at tourist sites. It's about rebuilding bridges that were burned by history, bridges of culture, economy, and spirit. Her words struck me deeply. How many of us have reduced our connection to Africa to a safari trip or a visit to a historical site? How many of us have treated the continent as a place to consume experiences rather than a home to build relationships with? The truth is uncomfortable, but necessary. Tourism alone cannot heal the wounds of separation. Taking selfies at the door of no return doesn't automatically restore what was lost through centuries of forced displacement. But here's where the story takes a turn toward hope. During our conversation, AyeSha shared three remarkable examples that demonstrate how the relationship between Africa and its diaspora is evolving beyond tourism towards something far more sustainable and meaningful. The first story takes us to Ghana in 2025. Following the wildly successful Year of Return campaign that brought hundreds of thousands of diaspora visitors to Ghana in 2019, President Mahama's administration recognized a critical challenge. How do you transform seasonal tourism into year round engagement? Their answer was the Black Star Experience, a comprehensive initiative that fused arts, heritage, and economic partnerships. Rather than focusing solely on December visits that had become trendy among diaspora communities, they created continuous programming throughout the year. What made this initiative revolutionary, AyeSha explained, wasn't just its scope, but its approach. They assembled a team of creatives, technocrats, and diaspora connectors who understood that meaningful engagement requires multiple touch points. The results were transformative. Ghana's relationship with its diaspora evolved from a tourism focused approach to a comprehensive engagement strategy that included investment opportunities, fashion, diplomacy, and intellectual property rights protection. One participant in the program told AyeSha, for the first time, I didn't feel like a tourist in my ancestral homeland. I felt like a stakeholder, someone with both rights and responsibilities. This shift from visitor to stakeholder represents the heart of what AyeSha calls sustainable reconnection, relationships built on mutual benefit rather than one sided consumption. The second example AyeSha shared reveals how digital platforms and group experiences have revolutionized diaspora engagement. Organizations like Black and Abroad have cultivated vibrant online communities that transform personal travel into collective movements. What's fascinating, AyeSha noted during our interview, is how these digital platforms function as living archives of cultural reconnection. When someone shares their journey back to ancestral lands, it creates ripples that inspire others to embark on similar paths. These shared stories have sparked curiosity and motivated countless others to explore their roots, turning tourism into a dynamic form of storytelling and identity building. But it goes beyond just sharing pretty pictures. Group tourism has evolved to include workshops and roundtable discussions that tackle pressing global issues like racial justice, climate resilience, and youth empowerment. The Global African Diaspora Symposium, for example, demonstrated how tourism can serve as a powerful entry point for long term activism and network building across continents. The most powerful moment AyeSha recalled from a participant's testimony was watching a third generation Jamaican American woman and a Ghanaian entrepreneur discover they had complementary business models. Within months, they had launched a joint venture that now employs dozens of people on both continents. These connections aren't just personally fulfilling, they're economically transformative. The third example AyeSha shared with me demonstrates how policy changes are creating formal pathways for reconnection. In 2025, Ghana's government launched a citizenship drive specifically targeting second and third generation Ghanaians in the diaspora. Many descendants of Ghanaian immigrants had maintained cultural ties to their ancestral homeland, but had lost legal connections, limiting their ability to fully participate in the country's development. Through the Diaspora Affairs Office at the Office of the President, Ghana established a comprehensive program to facilitate citizenship processes, working in collaboration with international organizations like the International Organization for Migration. What makes this initiative so powerful, AyeSha emphasized, is that it recognizes citizenship as both a legal status and a framework for belonging. It says to diaspora communities, you are not just welcome visitors, you are rightful members of this nation. The program has expanded Ghana's global network and created pathways for diaspora contributions in areas including labor mobility, skills transfer, and climate resilience initiatives. As Maya Angelou once wrote, the ache for home lives in all of us, the safe place where we can go as we are and not be questioned. These initiatives are creating that safe place for millions across the diaspora. What struck me most in my conversation with AyeSha was her emphasis on reciprocity. Reconnection isn't about diaspora communities saving Africa or Africa healing the diaspora, she insisted. It's about recognizing that both have resources, knowledge, and capabilities that become more powerful when combined. This perspective challenges the savior narratives that have often characterized diaspora engagement with the continent. It recognizes that true connection must be built on mutual respect and benefit. So, what does this mean for us? How do we move from passive observers to active participants in this global reconnection? AyeSha offered several pathways forward that resonated deeply with me and aligned perfectly with our mission at the Pink Parachute Diaries to empower Black women in all spheres of life. First, she suggested we must move beyond consumption to contribution. Rather than simply visiting Africa to experience its beauty and culture, we can explore ways to invest in African businesses, participate in skills transfer programs, or connect with diaspora communities in our local areas. The question shouldn't be, what can I get from this experience? AyeSha explained, but rather, what can I build through this relationship? Second, we must recognize that reconnection happens at multiple levels. While physical travel to the continent is powerful, it's not the only way to engage. Digital platforms, cultural exchanges, and local diaspora organizations offer numerous opportunities to strengthen connections without boarding a plane. As AyeSha put it, reconnection isn't a destination, it's a practice, something you can engage in daily through the music you listen to, the businesses you support, and the communities you build. Third, we must approach reconnection with patience and humility. Centuries of separation have created cultural differences and misunderstandings that won't be resolved overnight. True connection requires us to listen as much as we speak, to learn as much as we teach. The most beautiful moments of reconnection, AyeSha shared, often come when both sides acknowledge what they don't know about each other and commit to learning together. This wisdom particularly resonates for Black women navigating professional spaces where our voices are often overlooked or undervalued. The same principles that guide diaspora reconnection, authenticity, reciprocity, and persistence can serve as powerful tools in our career journeys. I stand before you today not just as a speaker, but as someone profoundly changed by these conversations with AyeSha and others working to rebuild these essential connections. Their work has shown me that when we talk about the African diaspora, we're not discussing an abstract concept. We're talking about living, breathing communities whose futures are intertwined. The time for passive observation is over. The era of treating Africa as merely a destination for cultural tourism must end. What begins now is the hard, beautiful work of genuine reconnection, of building economic partnerships that create prosperity on both sides of the Atlantic, of sharing knowledge that enriches communities across continents, of creating legal and cultural frameworks that honor our shared heritage while embracing our diverse journeys. I challenge each of you to ask yourself, what is my role in this reconnection? What skills, resources, or platforms do I possess that could strengthen these bridges? And how might I move beyond being a consumer of culture to becoming a co creator of new possibilities? Whether you are of African descent or not, this movement toward meaningful reconnection offers lessons for us all about healing historical wounds, building sustainable relationships, and recognizing the power of belonging. As the African proverb reminds us, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. The future of the African diaspora lies not in scattered individuals taking occasional trips to the continent, but in a global network of interconnected communities working together to shape new realities. The bridges are being built. The question is, will you help strengthen them?